Hello, this is Eld from highheelsandgreatdeals.co.uk, and this is the Warlords of Draenor first looks at the Discipline Police toolkit. What we're just going to cover today is we're just going to have a look at the spells, the glyphs and the talents and the sort of things that you can expect, certainly when patch 6.0 drops and then into the first few weeks of Warlords of Draenor. This is actually shot on the beta with about, I think, 2 to 3 weeks left before it goes live on the PTR, so I can expect with fair certainty that nothing much is going to change in terms of the spell kits. So let's have a look what we've got here. If we look at our spell book first of all, we've got our usual such suspects: Archangel, Dispel, Magic, Fade, Fear, Flash Heal, Halo. Obviously that's showing up as I've picked the talent. Heal, that's now one of our main go-to heals. That's our replacing the Greater Heal. Holy Fire. Holy Nova, which is rather than a glyphed spell, is a new spell for us, which is a 12-yard healing AoE effect. Leap of Faith, Levitate, we know all these. Mass Dispel. Nothing new on this page either. Penance is now our biggest hitting spell in terms of a defensive spell for creating the most healing. And then really, again, nothing new on here. Powered, Fortitude, Shield, Healing, Mending, the Purify and Resurrection, all stuff that hasn't changed. Mind Vision, still one of my favourite random things. I like to do it on the Klaxi when we're fighting just before Garrosh because it gives me something to do. But other than that, not many uses for it. I'm assuming that you could probably use it more in PvP for spying on certain things. And then obviously a new one here that's coming in for Disc Priest is Silence. It will silence a target for 5 seconds and prevent spell casting for 3 seconds. Where this is going to be really useful is actually Disc Priest, unless you are a Blood Elf on the Horde side. This would be actually a bit of use on the Garrosh fight. I'm talking from a Horde perspective because you can actually silence some of the empowered mind controls and things like that. So that'll be good in getting used to. But the difference is after just after 2 pages, Smite's Void Tendrils there, and then everything else becomes passive. So actually what we've got is a pretty reduced tool set. I've put them all out on the bottom bar of the screen for everybody to see. This is a level 100 pre-made, so we've already got the perks here, which is the Empowered Archangel, which it says after activating you get 100% crit strike chance of your next prayer of healing. Basically that's replacing Inner Focus. So as soon as you pop Archangel or Archangel, depending how you want to say it, then you're going to get a fully critted shield as well as the heal, which is pretty useful when you're doing things like the Proving Grounds and things, which we'll talk about later. Enhanced Focus Will just gives us a damage component when we get along with the Focused Will buff. Enhanced Leap of Faith means you're going to get a 50% bigger heal after you've cast like Leap of Faith. Again, not so much uses in PvE as far as I can see. Enhanced Powered Shield's quite interesting because it's reducing the Weakened Soul by 5 seconds, so you'll be able to cast, instead of having a 15-second window where you can't cast Powered Shield, it's going to go down to 10. Enlightenment, this is really where we've rolled lots of things into one. So your crit effect on Prayer of Healing is 10%, and we gain 5% critical strike strat from all sources. So really what this is telling us is that our secondary stat should be crit, and then Prayer of Healing is our go-to sort of group healing spell. Evangelism hasn't changed, other than we don't get the benefit obviously of reduced mana and things like that. And then Focused Will has always been there, the reducing damage taken for up to 8 seconds every time we take damage. So along with the Enhanced Focused Will, that's going to give us a damage taken buff in terms of less damage coming in, and also going to increase our damage done. So those are our spell books. There's nothing really new there. The only new spell we have is Silence, which I think is a good thing because it actually gives us something to do, and at least a way of interrupting rather than having to rely on fear and fearing mobs into others and running around and things like that. So the next thing I want to look at is the talents and glyphs. If we have a quick look at Glyphs first, Dispel Magic again is just a small heal when you dispel, a small bit of damage when you dispel on the boss. Fade gives us damage reduction while Fade is on. Fear Ward hasn't changed at all, just allows you to reduce fear. Focus Mending, you'll notice this is redded out because some of the glyphs are mutually exclusive, so you can have one with, well, can't have one with the other. This one would cause the Prayer of Mending to bounce between the caster and the target. I think that's more of a PvP, certainly 2v2 type spell. Holy Fire, again, it just increases the range. This one sort of annoys me a little bit because I'd rather all the spells had the same range. Inquisitor, this is our one where Holy Fire or Solace will do extra damage, but so that 20% of that damage is dealt back to us. Leap of Faith, again it's a movement impairing glyph, more PvP again. Some limited things maybe in PvE. Levitate just increases the movement speed afterwards. Master Spell, again there wasn't really a place in the last rating tier where I felt that was any use, but we'll have to see in the new raid environments. Penance, that was our mandatory glyph really for Siege of Orgrimmar and 5.4 onwards, and I still think it probably will be, looking at some of the videos of people doing dungeons and raids. There's going to be still a lot of movement. There's a Power Word Shield where 20% is a heal and the rest of it is an absorb. Again, that will remain to be seen whether it's worth it. Prayer of Mending, again, hasn't changed. 60% extra healing on the first bounce, but only 4 bounces. Psychic Scream means they'll temporal in place. Purification, this allows us to have 2 charges on Purify, but increases the cooldown. I guess where this would be useful is on a fight similar to the Fallen Protectors, where you'll get 2 dispels needed in quick succession as and when a dot comes in, and that's useful for that one. Also, it would be useful on something like the Shah of Fear, the 4th boss in Siege of Orgrimmar, where you have to dispel players with the Gift of the Titans buff. And this might be an interesting one to use there. Purify is a bit of a heal on there. Reflective Shield is going to cause 70% of the damage absorbed to be reflected back. Restored Faith just swaps it around. We go to them instead of them being pulled to us. Scourge Imprisonment reduces the time again. That's going to have situational use. Shadow Magic is an immunity after activating Fade, so again I would see more of a PvP talent perhaps. Smite, this allows us to do extra damage that doesn't get transferred into Atonement. Weaken Soul, so even though we've got Empowered Weaken Soul from the levelling perks, we can reduce it again by a further 2 seconds using that glyph, and the rest of them are non-disc specific, so I'm going to leave that there. And lastly, if we look at our talents, whoop, scrolled well in there. Desperate Prayer, again, nothing new there. 22% of maximum health is a good chunk of health in Warlords of Draenor. Spectral Guise, again, perfect for Nalak and that particular quest. But and we'll just have to see. I think, again, situational for PvE purposes. Angelic Bulwark is the passive where it will just put a big shield on if we go below 30% of our health. Again, that's my preferred choice, but on there really for PvE you're looking at Desperate Prayer or Angelic Bulwark. I just prefer not having a new button. Body and Soul, Angelic Feather and Phantasm, no difference at all there. The 2 choices for PvE again are going to be Body and Soul and Angelic Feather. Surge of Light on the next tier, which allows us to have up to 2 free instant flash heals. That may become of use depending on how mana plays out. Mindbender for the extra damage and generating mana, and then Power Word Solace as well, which would be one I would have used in Siege of Orgrimmar because I was pretty much Holy Firing or Power Word Solacing on cooldown. It's something that we'll have to look at again. The next tier, Void Tendrils, Psychic Scream, and Dominate Mind. This is obviously our CCing one. I just prefer Void Tendrils. Nothing new there, so nothing to worry about. The next tier is great because this is where Spirit Shell's now hiding. We've got Twist of Fate, And the tooltip at the moment is saying when you deal 15%, you deal 15% increased damage and healing, but you have to heal a target below 35%. It doesn't activate now if you damage a target below 35%, which is something that as a disc priest we used to sort of play on in terms of the lower health mobs. I'm thinking of dark shamans now and some of the blobs. We could focus on that and get a boost to our healing, but that's only going to happen now if we heal, so that's a slight change. Power infusion, again, we're looking at a 20-second boost to haste and reducing mana costs. That's something that I think is probably going to be go-to for PvE for a while, while you're getting used to the new spell sets and your new rotations and things like that. Spirit Shell, and again it acts exactly as it would before, so instead of healing it just creates the shells. A level 90 talents are no difference, just nerf to anything they hit for a lot less. There's also the AoE returns on there, which is 6 people. It won't affect more than 6 people. And the final level 100s are the Clarity of Will, which is able to create a very big shield. Words of Mending, which when you get 10 stacks it bounces a Prayer of Mending around automatically, and then Saving Grace, which instantly heals as an instant big heal, but then you reduce your healing for 10%. I think Saving Grace is definitely going to be the go-to talent on this tier, just from the initial play, certainly for my play style. Clarity of Will and the big shields may help. Words of Mending at the moment, because of Prayer of Mending's lack of power, I think it's a pretty mediocre or weak talent. Saving Grace is good in a pinch, and Clarity of Will, I can see benefits for being like that, particularly for something like, if we have any mechanics like the Iron Prisons again, which is on the Heroic Shamans, where you're trying to just cover a lot of damage that's going to come in. So that's it really in terms of our talents and our glyphs and our spells. There's absolutely nothing there that's going to, I guess, change too much in terms of the options that we've got. The level 100 of talents, I think, are probably really down to the Clarity of Will and Saving Grace, unless Prayer of Mending gets a big boost. And from here, really, it's then a question of when you get 6.0 drops, it'll be a question of how you need to adapt your play style to the new types of spells that we've got, and how much healing they actually do, and how weak the AoE spells and the level 90 talents have become, because it's certainly a little bit awkward to start with. You'll have to, obviously, when the new patch drops, it means that you'll have to redo all your key binds and things like that. But I'll talk about that a little bit more in a video. We'll have I'll go into the Proving Grounds and just show you what healing's a little bit like in there. But I'm going to just stop there now. That's given you an overview of the talents and the glyphs and the spells that we've got, and that'll at least give you the background of where we're going in terms of the next couple of videos, which is the first look at levelling, and then we're going to have a little first look at the Proving Grounds, as I say, to show healing in action. Thank you.